erase you from this world. Stay out of my father's and my way." The daughter's face, illuminated by the city lights, looked demonic. She approached slowly with a kitchen knife, spreading her arms wide. The night wind tousled our hair. No matter how much I pleaded, "Stop," she wouldn't. To think that such a day would actually come. Even though I had been so careful, to end up cornered like this. "Please, calm down. Don't you think your father would be sad if he knew about this?" "No, I don't." "Sad? Are you stupid? He'll definitely be happy." It seemed pointless to say anything more to her. She appeared focused solely on eliminating me right here. As she slowly approached, I stepped backward, one step at a time. I had reached my limit in buying time. All I could do now was try to resist somehow. Just as I made that resolution, the rooftop door burst open with a loud bang. "My name is Victoria. I'm 40 years old. My life changed dramatically when I developed endometriosis at age 20. After having my uterus removed, I could no longer bear children, and I spent days in depression. I stopped thinking about the happy marriage with someone I loved that I had vaguely dreamed about until then. You've done nothing wrong. It's the disease that's at fault. Those who get it are not to blame." Though my parents tried to comfort me with such words, there was no way I could accept that. I strongly blamed myself for having my uterus removed. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had a fatal flaw as a woman. The turning point came when I was 38. A friend introduced me to a man. His name was Tris, 2 years older than me, and quite handsome, working as a sales representative for a trading company. "If you're willing, Victoria, would you consider dating me with marriage in mind?" Me. But would someone like me be good enough? Actually, If it's about the infertility, I already know. I don't mind. And, as you may have already heard, I have a daughter who started middle school this spring. I had been told beforehand by my friend that Tris had a child. His previous wife had apparently fallen from their apartment balcony and passed away in autumn 2 years ago. He had decided to remarry because he wanted someone to be there as a partner for life, especially for his teenage daughter. I was overjoyed. Having my own family and becoming a parent seemed like a dream. After accepting his proposal and dating for about 6 months, I married Tris. Having such a capable and wonderful husband made me feel blessed. I remember genuinely feeling that way. Tris also seemed very happy about our marriage. The only one who didn't seem pleased was his daughter, Robin. It was the same when we went to greet my relatives. Robin said something terrible that froze the atmosphere. We were fine with just Dad and me, without any marriage. Robin. There you go saying such things again. That's rude to everyone. But this is how I really feel. Seriously, this remarriage is nothing but a nuisance. Robin's defiant attitude left a bad impression. I covered for her, saying we should forgive her since she's at a difficult age. Indeed, Robin was a challenging daughter. She had apparently always opposed her father's remarriage. She would always reproach Tris, asking if he didn't feel guilty towards her mother in heaven. It was the same the day before our marriage registration. Speaking as if I wasn't even there in the same living room. Mom must be crying in heaven, you know. There's no need to remarry. I can handle the housework. What's wrong with just the two of us living together? She would bark at her father like that, putting him in a difficult position. I was also greatly troubled. If I wasn't welcome, I didn't want to get married. If her husband hadn't strongly pursued me, I think I would have declined this arrangement. Robin will be busy with school studies from now on. I want her to work hard at club activities too. I want her to value her own time as much as possible without worrying about household matters. So, that's your reason for remarrying. If that's the case, you could just hire a housekeeper or something. It's for Dad's sake too. For the long life ahead, I want a partner to live with forever. Victoria agreed to marry me with the same feelings. When her father pleaded, "Please understand," bowing his head, the daughter puffed her cheeks in displeasure. She seemed to strongly dislike my presence. I remember feeling very uncomfortable. Would we be able to get along as a family in the future? I couldn't help feeling anxious. Living with a teenage girl requires a lot of consideration. I deeply felt this and had some regrets too. Robin was an even more difficult child than I had imagined. She wouldn't return my greetings. She would ignore me when I tried to talk to her. And she would often glare at me. With such frightening eyes too. I can't count how many times I heard her father scolding her. "Robin, stop glaring like that. She's your mother now." "Who's my mother?" "My mother is in heaven, remember." There you go saying such things again. True, that may be the case, Robin, but… Tris, it's okay. It's the truth. Don't blame Robin. I think we can come to understand each other little by little. After all, we still have plenty of time. Thinking we could get close right away was too naive. How would I feel in the daughter's position? If I wanted to improve our relationship, it would take time. I reconsidered this and decided not to think too deeply about it when the daughter treated me coldly. Even when she looked at me with eyes like I was her enemy, even when she complained to my face, I endured with a smile. The daughter's strong personality was real. She would constantly show competitive spirit toward me. In cooking ability, cleaning efficiency, she would compete with me in every aspect. "Look, Dad. The omelette I made. It's much better than someone's, right?" By someone, do you mean your mother? Robin, I've told you before to stop trying to compare everything. There's no point in comparing. Why not? I'm proving that we're fine without this person. Why don't you understand? Dad, you're so clueless. Robin. Stop pointing at your mother and calling her this person. Robin was still in middle school. It's natural for her to be emotionally unstable at times. Getting angry and responding emotionally would be out of the question. We should respond maturely and take time to become friends. I told my husband this whenever something happened. I told him not to worry, that I was fine. It was about half a year after our marriage when a big change occurred. The daughter started showing me smiles. That sharp gaze that looked at me like I was her mortal enemy, where had it gone? She would come up to me with a smile and say things like, "Good morning, Mom." I simply thought that she had finally understood my feelings. But it didn't take long to realize that this friendliness was just superficial. Mom, let me help with dinner preparations. Can I cut these carrots? Yes, thank you. I'm making pot au feu, so could you cut them a bit larger? Oh. Sorry. My hand slipped. It's okay. Just make sure to hold the knife firmly. The knife that had slipped from her hand came flying toward me. It was good that I managed to avoid it just in time, but it could have been a bloody incident. There were other incidents too, kitchen scissors falling toward my feet, almost getting scalded with hot water. I want to praise myself for not getting injured even once. The worst was when I noticed something strange about a drink. One holiday, when I was about to drink the coffee the daughter had made for me, I noticed a distinctive citrus smell. Hey, this is strange. Tris, doesn't this coffee smell odd? We haven't changed the beans, have we? It does smell strange. Mine doesn't smell like that though. Oh, sorry. It's probably my fault. I might have forgotten to rinse your cup properly after washing it. I'll make you a fresh cup right away. That's all right. Thank you, Robin. I'll make it myself. Oh really? Said the daughter, smiling. But to me, that smile looked frightening. She had probably mixed detergent into my coffee. I don't think it was just a matter of forgetting to rinse the cup. She was probably disappointed that I hadn't taken a single sip. I was constantly on edge, never knowing what she might do to me. Sometimes I just wanted to be alone to ease my mental fatigue. One Saturday afternoon, I went to my favorite cafe. While I was happy to be married, daily life with the daughter was too mentally taxing. My only comfort was having my husband on my side. I wondered how long these days would continue. While drinking coffee, I kept thinking about such things and sighing repeatedly. I'm not sure how long I had been sitting there. At some point, customers had taken the seat behind the partition. The voice sounded like my daughter's, and I found myself listening intently. It's just the worst. Nothing's working. I want to make her eat her words just once. Why isn't it working? Maybe because I keep messing up. Don't rush it, Robin. These things take patience. Always smile, and make them lower their guard. Take your time, okay? We'll make your father open his eyes. Yes, you're right. Thank you, Irene. There was no mistake. One was my daughter. But who was this Irene? From her voice, she seemed to be an adult woman. Thanks to the partition, they hadn't noticed my presence. The content of their conversation was truly frightening. They were discussing specific methods to force me into divorce. They wanted me to think that continuing this marriage would be life-threatening. They were trying to make me voluntarily ask for a divorce. That night, when I was alone with my husband, I consulted him about our daughter and this woman named Irene. So that's what happened. Do you know anything about someone named Irene? Irene. I hope it's not who I think it is. My husband seemed to have someone in mind. He turned pale upon hearing the content of their conversation. He promised to carefully ask her about it. Anyway, we need to avoid any danger to Victoria. Be careful with knives, things you eat or drink, high places. When walking on the street, be as careful as possible. Yes, I will. It would be scary if something happened. At the same time, I decided to investigate this person on my own. I couldn't remain passive. Even for self-protection, I needed to be proactive. If anything happened to me, both the daughter and this woman Irene could become criminals. While I couldn't do anything about Irene, I wanted to protect the daughter. That was my parental instinct. A few days after this conversation, my husband contacted me saying he would be working late. After dinner, my daughter invited me to the rooftop. She said her friend told her we could see a meteor shower tonight. A meteor shower? I haven't heard anything about that. I don't see any news articles about it online either. Let's just go. Our apartment building's rooftop is open. It would be a waste not to use it. Come on. Unable to refuse her forceful invitation, I went to the rooftop with her. Even on an ordinary day, the city lights viewed from the 25th floor are beautiful. However, I didn't forget to be careful. I had to be cautious about high places. I tried to stay as far as possible from the fence. Then, my daughter started to get impatient. Mom, come over here. The night view from here is really beautiful. Thank you, but I'm fine. I can see well from here. Look, just come here when I tell you to. Don't you understand? Her voice grew deeper. She was suddenly holding a knife in her hand. She spread her arms wide and approached me slowly. The daughter who had transformed dropped her superficial friendliness and came at me with her true intentions. I'll erase you from this world. Stay out of my father's and my way. The night wind tousled our hair. Her face illuminated by the city lights was truly demonic. No matter how much I pleaded, stop, she wouldn't stop. Please. Calm down. Don't you think your father would be sad if he knew about this? No, I don't. Sad? Are you stupid? He'll definitely be happy. It seemed pointless to say anything more to her. She appeared focused solely on eliminating me right here. As she slowly approached, I stepped backward, one step at a time. I had reached my limit in buying time. All I could do now was try to resist somehow. Just as I made that resolution, the rooftop door burst open with a loud bang. Stop it, Robin. Get away from Victoria. Dad. How did you know we were here? Actually, I had sent my husband an email about being invited to the rooftop by our daughter. It was unusual behavior for her, and going to a high place was extremely dangerous. He had replied saying he'd be home soon and telling me to be careful. My husband rushed over and shielded me behind his back. Get out of the way, shouted the daughter. The tip of the knife was trembling. She charged forward with crazed eyes. My husband, while still shielding me, caught our daughter who was swinging the knife and pushed her toward the fence. Then, to our horror, the fence came loose with a light sound. Ah! Ah! Robin! It happened in an instant. Our daughter falling toward the dark ground below. The merciless sound of impact echoing in the apartment complex garden. We immediately called the police and ambulance. But unfortunately, our daughter couldn't be saved. Although my husband was terribly distraught, he somehow managed to conduct the funeral. Many people came to our daughter's funeral, her friends, teachers, and others. She had apparently been a bright, straightforward girl who was always at the center of her social circle at school. I deeply regretted that we couldn't save her before she was possessed by madness. It was about a week after our daughter's funeral when I called Irene to meet at the cafe. She seemed quite surprised to receive a call from me. Naturally so. One wouldn't normally expect a direct call from a colleague's wife. Yes, the woman named Irene who had been secretly meeting with our daughter was my husband's coworker. When Irene arrived at the appointed time, I greeted her with a "Nice to meet you. It seems my daughter was under your care while she was alive." Oh, yes. My condolences. She was still so young, with her whole life ahead of her. Yes, it's tragic. A fall from 100 meters up. I heard the fence's wire had been detached from its hooks, and the support bolts had been removed. That fence our daughter had leaned against that day, it had been set up to come loose with just a little pressure. Not just in one place, but apparently all the fences on the rooftop were in that condition. Our daughter had probably tried to threaten me with the knife to drive me toward such a fence. And unfortunately, she ended up being the one to trust her weight to the loose fence. It was truly a nightmare. You're the one who tampered with the rooftop fence, aren't you, Irene? What? How could I? I'm an outsider. I can't even enter the building. Didn't our daughter let you in? Then you could easily get through, right? You conspired with our daughter and tried to take my life. That's right, isn't it? Please tell me everything honestly. I don't know anything. Stop making these accusations. What's wrong with you? Aren't you being extremely rude to someone you've just met? This is outrageous. Irene was aggressive. She denied even meeting with our daughter. She claimed she only knew about her from occasional conversations with my husband and had never been in close contact with her personally. How transparent. It had to be a lie. I clearly remembered hearing Irene's voice talking with our daughter. Please stop with these falsehoods. You met with our daughter multiple times. You counseled her and put ideas in her head, didn't you? Like threatening me with a knife, or mixing detergent in coffee. You were trying to corner me mentally and make me ask for a divorce, weren't you? Please stop this. I don't know anything. If you don't stop, I'll call the police. Go ahead. Please do. And then confess. Confess how deeply involved you were in our daughter's death. Hey, do you think I'm saying all this without knowing anything? I thoroughly investigated you before calling you here. Investigated. Me. Irene had romantic feelings for my husband. This was revealed through the investigation by the detective I hired. The information came from several of her co-workers, so it had to be true. After my husband's first wife passed away, Irene had apparently hoped to take her place. However, unfortunately for her, I became the second wife. Frustrated, Irene had secretly approached our daughter, trying to win her over first. She noticed the darkness in our daughter's heart and gave her various advice, trying to get rid of me. But in the end, your plans backfired, and our daughter self-destructed. Isn't that right? No. I'm not involved. I told you to stop with these accusations. Not involved. You're the one who should stop lying. After all, it's all written in our daughter's diary. What specific advice you gave her, Irene. What? Diary. What's that? Our daughter had kept a diary. It's natural that Irene would be surprised. Even my husband and I hadn't known she kept one. It detailed when she met with Irene and what they discussed. My husband and I were shocked when we discovered and read the diary while sorting through her belongings. Irene's instructions had been very specific and truly horrifying. Advising someone to put foreign substances in food, no one with a normal mindset could give such advice. Besides, the cafe's security cameras must have captured you meeting with our daughter. When cross-referenced with the dates in the diary, it adds credibility. There's no doubt you repeatedly advised our daughter and tried to corner me. The police will surely come to that conclusion. Please, not the police. I'm begging you. Oh? Weren't you just saying you'd call them? The diary also recorded the day she invited Irene to the apartment. Together, they had spent time tampering with the fence to make me fall. Just that one act alone makes Irene's actions criminal. She committed the crime of property damage. The legal penalty for property damage is imprisonment of up to 3 years or a fine. When I informed her of this, Irene immediately turned pale. You encouraged our daughter's criminal acts. Please admit to that. Since she ultimately lost her life, you can't say you don't bear any responsibility, can you? But I only gave advice. I didn't actually do anything myself. So, responsibility. Haven't you heard of instigating a crime? It's not just the person who committed the crime, the person who made them decide to commit it, who guided them toward it, is just as guilty. They receive the same punishment as the perpetrator, you know? I thought if I cornered her this far, she would surely admit her guilt. But my prediction was wrong. Irene was more persistent than I expected. She continued to deny her interactions with our daughter. Besides, everything written in that diary is lies. I never discussed any criminal acts with your daughter. Really? I was just giving her love advice. What? Love advice? Robin was in love. I was just supporting her. I never once discussed any criminal activities that you say were written in the diary. Really? Can you absolutely swear that's not a lie? Irene insisted it wasn't a lie. She claimed our daughter's love interest was a male student at her school. This was news to me. It had to be a lie. What a naive woman. She doesn't understand anything. She doesn't realize how cornered she is right now. She's mistaken if she thinks our daughter's diary is our only evidence. When I operated my smartphone, our deceased daughter's voice could be heard. It failed again. That old hag is really sensitive to smells. I put bleach in her tea, but she threw it away immediately. It's so infuriating. The initial failure with the coffee detergent was probably significant. It made her vigilant. We need to make her lower her guard more. It was a conversation between Irene and our daughter. Irene stood there with a dumbfounded expression after hearing the recording. Her face clearly asked, "How do you have this recording?" She probably had no idea they had been investigated this thoroughly. You see, I hired a detective to thoroughly investigate you, Irene. What did you just say? That you never once discussed criminal activities with our daughter? Well, that's... I mean... It must be a misunderstanding of sorts. A misunderstanding. How exactly did you misunderstand conversations about putting bleach in tea and detergent in coffee? I'd like you to explain in detail. Well. I might have discussed ways to clean cups with Robin, and maybe those memories got mixed up. Irene started making desperate excuses. This cowardly aspect of her was truly infuriating. She had encouraged our daughter to cross the final line. Irene's sin was very heavy. Even if others forgave her, my husband and I never would. Just then, a shadow appeared silently. Someone stood right behind Irene. She stiffened at the sound of the low, heavy voice. You lying woman. You're undoubtedly partly responsible for my daughter's death. You understand that, don't you? I'll hate you for the rest of my life. I'll never forgive you. Tris. How long have you been there? No, that's not. Irene turned around and turned pale. Probably because she saw my husband's haggard face. It was natural for his appearance to change so dramatically. After all, he had lost his own daughter right before his eyes. Moreover, the trigger was her contact with him. His regret must be immeasurable. Even after the funeral, he continues to suffer. He has nightmares almost every night. It seems he repeatedly relives the moment of losing his precious daughter in his dreams. My husband sat next to me and looked up at Irene's face. Irene, can you understand? The feelings of a parent who loses their child right before their eyes. Tris, I'm truly sorry. Do you think an apology is enough? Did you think you'd be forgiven? Don't be ridiculous. Give me back my daughter. We had our problems at home, but she was still my flesh and blood. My husband already knows that Irene had tampered with the fence. Without that tampering, our daughter might still be alive today. And if she were alive, there might have been a possibility of understanding each other eventually. But that possibility was completely closed off to our family now. Thinking about my husband's deep regret brings me to tears as well. You know, I deeply regret something. That time I introduced you to my daughter. If that hadn't happened, she would never have been in contact with you. I'm so sorry. I'm tired of hearing apologies. Don't you have anything better to say? Really, I don't know how to apologize. I'm sorry. Still, she could only beg for forgiveness. Irene seemed to have retracted her previous excuses and acknowledged her involvement. As a precaution, I quietly activated my smartphone's voice recorder app. Can you understand how much pain I've been through? True, my wife and daughter weren't getting along. But we were trying to face that problem in our own way, trying to resolve that discord. Yes. I understand. I understand very well. How dare you say you understand? You interfered in another family's problems, stirred things up with unnecessary words, and created the cause for the worst possible outcome. Yes. You're absolutely right. Irene began to cry. Tears streaming down her cheeks. Even now, she seemed bewildered by what had happened. That's how she appeared, though it was too late. I loved him. I was in love with you. What did you say? I was in love with you. I wanted to marry you. But you chose someone else, didn't you? I wasn't good enough. When I realized that, I felt so frustrated. So you decided to destroy our family. That's the worst. You only thought about yourself. Normally, when you love someone, you think about their happiness. Irene shed more tears when confronted. It's unavoidable when being so harshly criticized by the person you fell in love with. It seemed there was no more role for me to play. No new testimony seemed forthcoming. I urged Irene to go to the police. She nodded while crying, saying she would. Later, Irene turned herself in at the police station. She was eventually fined for crimes including property damage. My husband and I also demanded compensation for damages. The emotional trauma we suffered from losing our daughter was substantial. Irene, who created the cause of this, needed to make appropriate amends. When questioned by the police, Irene again acknowledged her relationship with Robin. She admitted they had been allies with the common goal of eliminating me. The diary and the detective's investigation results served as evidence supporting Irene's words. If Irene and our daughter had been bolder and more unscrupulous in their methods, what would have happened to me? For instance, they could have paid someone to attack me. There were many possible approaches. No matter how cautious I was, I'm not sure if I could have avoided all dangers. In any case, I think I was very lucky. A few days later, Irene quit her job citing personal reasons. Apparently, she couldn't bear being viewed with suspicion by her coworkers. She had to take out loans to pay the compensation, and afterward spent her days struggling with debt repayment. Now, I hear she works as a part-time employee at a supermarket in a small rural town. Regarding our deceased daughter's strong attachment to her father and the accompanying intense hostility toward me, my husband found a theory that might help us understand. He sighed and said our daughter probably had an Electra complex. Electra complex? What's that? Is it a disease? It's apparently different from a disease. It's when a young girl harbors possessive affection toward her father and develops strong competitive feelings toward her mother. Maybe Robin had an extreme case of it. Maybe so. That makes a lot of sense. Electra complex. He emphasized that it's just a state of mind, not a mental illness. Even I have normal affection for my father. In her case, those feelings must have escalated without anyone noticing. It could happen to anyone. She wasn't at fault. I prayed again for our daughter's peace in the afterlife. Surprisingly, it was our relatives who actively supported my husband's mental state after losing his daughter. They completely affirmed my husband's actions in trying to protect me, his wife. They even encouraged him about pushing our daughter, saying it was self-defense. I believe my husband was able to recover like this because of such support from those around us. Now, Tris and I spend peaceful days together. Perhaps the wounds in our hearts will never completely heal. But precisely because we are who we are, we understand the importance of supporting each other. Though there will surely be many difficult times ahead, we want to get through them together as husband and wife. We want to protect each other's hearts so we can smile as much as possible. That's what I believe.